Hey everyone, welcome to the Superhero Show. I'm Daniel and this is Chris.
You're back.
I'm back. I've returned.
I two-timed you last week.
Was last week okay?
It went well.
We got a lot of negative feedback about it, so let's not focus on that.
Don't dwell.
You've got a bit of feedback that's going to kick us off.
From Connor Davison, who says, "Hey guys, massive fan of the show. I thought I'd leave that in this time. It's quite nice to hear it every now and then."
We take that out of all of them.
Once again, something has come out about a superhero movie after you recorded the last episode. Well, it's like clockwork, isn't it?
It's almost like the progression of time itself.
You could set your watch by it. I'm talking about on-set photos of Crossbones from Cap 3 and Killer Croc from Suicide Squad. I quite like both the outfits, but I feel that seeing the outfits for the first time in the movie would have more of an effect. But you can't go too far on the internet before coming across some leak or spoiler. Do you think leaks, big or small, are a good or bad thing?
Yeah, well, I think this is becoming really prominent with the Suicide Squad. Personally, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the Suicide Squad, and it's not out for another year and a bit.
Is it making you suicidal?
I wouldn't go that far,
No,
but it's miffed.
Said that.
Miffed,
yeah.
If anything. It's just, it seems relentless at the moment. And he said, in the feedback, he says you can't go far on the internet without. And the internet is responsible for that because we're all super interested. When we post one of the stories on IGN, people go crazy for it.
Are you saying we're responsible for this?
We're all part of the problem. It's a systemic problem.
Yeah.
But is it damaging the film? Are you sick of it as well? What do you think? What's your take on it?
I am. Well, you know my feeling about spoilers. I hate spoilers. I hate the fact I have to sit and do a rewind theatre with you for films.
You hate the fact you have to do this show.
My favourite thing is going into a film not knowing anything.
Yeah.
And so, but I understand it's part of the job. It's not the end of the world. But it's getting more extreme now, isn't it? I mean, who the hell is on the set of this movie pumping out all these pictures? If they're not doing it in an underhanded way, the studio themselves, who is being allowed to do that? How's this happening?
That guy with the camera, do you want to stop him?
Yeah, that guy with the IMAX 3D camera,
But why not just buy a big curtain or something, or do it on a set?
It's been insane.
Yeah.
Every day there seems to be something. I just went through our site and had a look at what we'd covered. And do you want me to read out a little bit of it?
Just a little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
March 2nd, post a picture of Jared Leto's haircut. March 5th, Jared Leto bleaching his hair. April 8th, cast photo at table read. April 9th, Jared Leto stroking a Joker pose. April 16th, new look at Leto's Joker. April 20th, better look at Leto's Joker. April 24th, Leto's Joker officially revealed. 28th, Ben Affleck seen on the set. 30th, set photos surface. May 1st, update on the set photos. May 3rd, first look at Suicide Squad officially. May 3rd, again, Will Smith reveals Deadshot costume. Then we get the Harley Quinn pictures, which went on for a week.
Good, but I'm waiting for them.
Followed by videos. Then, of course, there's been some video of a surreptitiously shot of Joker and Harley Quinn.
Yep, in his Joker-mobile.
I could go on, and it goes up to a couple of days ago.
I love the fact that there's so many drops, and then it's like, Joker officially revealed.
Yeah, I think there's only been 3 official photos. Yeah. Everything else is seemingly unofficial.
Because my take on this was David Ayer kind of responsible? Because he was teasing it, and something like Bryan Singer's doing as well on the set of X-Men Apocalypse, kind of doing these little pictures, little teasers on Instagram and Twitter. And yeah, it's cool to have those little nuggets so far out. It's like, wow, we're seeing, young Jean Grey in her 80s clobber.
Yeah.
But it gets to the point where that, coupled with, that stokes the interest.
Yeah.
Therefore, paparazzis go, well, if we can get anything, we can sell them for loads.
Yeah.
And it just feels, I think it snowballs to such an extent and so quickly that now we're just...
See, I think it's a bad thing I think we can agree it's a bad thing seeing these characters not in official photos, not being officially lit with the green screen behind them or whatever CG might be done in post on them. It's a bad thing, but there's such a hunger to see this stuff. You look at the traffic that these stories get on Suicide Squad, it's huge. There's a lot more interest than I was expecting.
Yeah, I did lifting the curtain here, but looking at IGN data in the last month, I think something like 3 of the top 10 stories have all been Suicide Squad related, to see the first look at something.
Yeah.
And also, do you think it's probably hard? I know official stuff would still do quite well. I feel like it almost factors into it. It's like, we're getting this surreptitious kind of... It feels a little bit a bit cheekier.
It just made me really uncomfortable though, watching that Joker footage. You know, it's like you can't really hear what he's saying. It's so unfair on the film.
It's so unfair on the film, and that kind of leads into Ryan's email. Ryan says, I had mixed feelings about Leto's look when the original image was released online, but now as a result of the on-set photos that were leaked this week, I'm not at all thrilled with his overall appearance. The tattoos were bad enough, but the outfit looked like something out of an 80s Michael Jackson pop video. That's probably why you're not thrilled. Seriously, that is not the Joker at all, and why on earth would he drive a bright, colourful Lamborghini is beyond me. Lisa's performance may be amazing, but I have a really bad feeling about that this dreadful look will overshadow that and become too distracting for me. Such a shame this should have happened to my favourite villain of all time.
So again, I mean, it's fair enough, you have your opinion, but it's unfair. We're totally judging this film a year out based on this dodgy footage. I mean, we can't ignore the footage. The traffic tells us that, but I don't know, it's upsetting me. Yeah, and I think it's only going to get worse from here with social media the way it is.
Because I think initially, the David Ayer stuff was quite canny because to a degree, you know, most people, wider audiences, they'll know Spider-Man, they'll know Superman, know Batman, but Suicide Squad is a bit of a new proposition for most people. A lot of those characters beyond the Joker may be unknown. You know, who in a wider audience knows who like Killer Croc or Deadshot is? Yeah. So I feel like there's some kind of consciousness raising that you have to get this out early and over the next year carefully seed what this entire concept is about. But I feel this is getting to the point where it's maybe just confusing because it's not even official for that wider audience, so it's distracting now.
Well, I was getting confused as to what was official and what wasn't. Yeah. Some of the photos have been quite good quality, actually, a couple of the Killer Croc ones. But
also that Harley Quinn one where she might have been doing the tattoos, which nobody knew whether that's real. I still don't know if that's been confirmed or not.
It's all becoming very confusing.
So, are you still looking forward to the Suicide Squad, or are you sick of it because of all this stuff?
I wasn't crazy about it to begin with. Just because of some of the casting choices, and I don't think this has got me more excited about it, having seen all this stuff. But we don't like to prejudge here at the Superhero Show, so I'm going into it with an open mind in a year's time. How about you?
I'm not going to prejudge because we said that Days of Future Past is probably going to be rubbish.
Yeah.
So
we did
again, I'm not a fan of that. The entire cast picture, I think it just looks like really awful. That's a really bad picture. It looks like a really crappy Expendables.
It doesn't look like a David Ayer movie in any way, shape or form at the moment.
Yeah.
But does it look like a Suicide Squad movie?
It's a weird... It's too many characters, I think, at the moment. I don't know. I wish Tom Hardy was still in it. Yeah. After seeing Mad Max recently. But anyway...
What we're trying to say is we've got really mixed emotions.
Yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult for us. We want to know what you think. Are you sick of the Suicide Squad already? You can let us know at superheroShow@ign.com.
Should we do some feedback?
Probably a good point to do that.
Okay, I'm going to kick off with an email from John Edvard Genius, or John Edvard Genie Dude, as he says at the end of the email. Don't know what that means. He says, hey guys, love the show. I'm a fan from Norway. Cool. Norwegian in the house. He says, I had a thought about Civil War. What if their conflict was not just between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, but S.H.I.E.L.D. and Stark Industries in some way? Here's my thought. What if in Civil War it is revealed that Phil Coulson is alive, which leads to the heroes becoming angry with S.H.I.E.L.D., and the conflict is about keeping secrets instead of just secret identities? I think this could be a fun way to spin the Civil War while showing the MCU fans that Coulson still lives. Cool. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I think it works, but I feel like they can't have S.H.I.E.L.D. having secrets again. Like, that was the whole crux of Winter Soldier. Yeah. It was actually hiding lots of secrets. I think the new S.H.I.E.L.D. has to stay pure for it, or to mean anything right now anyway. Yeah. Before it becomes this kind of secret organisation.
Yeah.
Jose's written in, hey Jose, I really don't understand why people are so confused about the Coulson thing, and it bothers me because it's not that hard to understand. It's not that he's dead in the movies and alive in the show. It's that, as far as the Avengers are concerned, he's dead. As in, they don't know he's alive. And Joss Whedon wanted to keep it that way because his death was so important to bringing them together that him suddenly showing up would be weird. So his being alive won't really be mentioned in the movies. There was also no important reason to have him show up in Age of Ultron because there was already a lot of stuff going on. True. He wouldn't have really added anything to the movie, and he's got his own stuff to take care of in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of grief about my annoyance with this. And I do get it. I get it.
Do you,
I
Chris?
just don't like it. I don't agree with it. I think it's disingenuous.
They're being lied to.
These are smart guys. Like, why would they not be able to figure this out?
Yeah.
Why would they not know? Why would this never come up? everyone keeping a secret from these 8 people. I don't
You
get
get really
it.
stressed about this.
I don't get it. I don't
the
like
lying to Captain America,
Yeah,
Chris.
it's inconsistent. I don't buy it. Okay? Should we move on?
Yeah.
Ethan Moody writes in and says, in his A of U scene, Thanos puts on the Infinity Gauntlet and says, "Fine, I'll do it myself," implying that he is some sort of Kaiser Soze Littlefinger arch nemesis pulling the strings. But so far, his schemes have resulted in his allies betraying him, Ronan, Nebula, Gamora, or failing him, Loki, the loss of his own Infinity Stone, Mind Stone to the Vision, and 2 others being harder to reach than before, the Tesseract Space Stone in Asgard and Orb Power Stone now with Nova Corps. So far, he says some other stuff, but he just kind of ends by saying, so far, Thanos seems to be both an incompetent schemer and a poor judge of character.
Rubbish.
Does this mean he's going to be a rubbish villain?
I disagree with this. I agree with the points, but I disagree with the kind of general tone of it, because he has the ambition to assemble the Infinity Gauntlet, which is what you want from a villain, to have some kind of mad scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's failing, but all of his incompetence matters nothing, because we know he will assemble all the Infinity Stones, and once he puts them in that gauntlet, it doesn't matter how bumbling he is.
Yeah.
That is the most powerful object in the universe. As long as he's got that, it doesn't matter how crap he is.
It's blooming convoluted.
Because he can kill half the universe with a click of his fingers.
Yeah.
What's your problem?
Yep. It is convoluted though when you say it like that. Like, what the hell's going on?
It's almost
here?
like they need to make more films before it happens.
We need to make an infographic and then update it after each film to say what is where.
Where are the Infinity Stones? I don't know.
Good email.
Salam has written in, "Hello Chris Tilly or Daniel Grouper." Not a fish. Not a fish. Finally, there's something I disagree with what Chris said last week. First time for everything, he says.
What?
He basically said that the crossover between TV and the movies isn't the best thing, or something along those lines. But I feel as though people would have more faith in the DC cinematic universe to be successful if Arrow and Flash were part of that universe. Both shows have a similar tone, and I generally don't see Ezra Miller being a better Flash than Gustin. But who knows? I've been surprised before.
Well, let's not prejudge that. And we're going to have to agree to disagree, because we obviously talked about TV a lot last week. It'd be good to get your input on that, Dan. But I just think it has held some of the Marvel stuff back, having to kowtow to the movies. And DC can do whatever they want, introduce who they want when they want. And so you're getting some really sort of top tier characters showing up in the DC TV shows.
That's why
whereas Marvel have kept all the top tier characters for the movies.
That's why I feel the Netflix feels a bit more substantial as an offering, where it feels like S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, you're kind of filling in the margins and the gaps, and you say working in the in-between bits, the missing time of the movies, and Agent Carter's just got renewed, so I imagine it'll do more and more of that stuff. Whereas Netflix, literally, these are the characters that wouldn't really appear in the movies. We couldn't do them, so you get in the hero centre stage, and they're going to do that with Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and it really feels like, even though that is part of the continuity, they're really developing their own thing, and they can have everything. They can have the villains on screen. They don't have to hide or obscure anything, which I think is really good for them.
And you know what I like the most is they're actually both doing it in different ways, and that's interesting.
Yeah, it's good for
It'd be boring if it was exactly the same on both sides.
I feel like it's almost
there's pros and cons to both sides, isn't there?
Yeah, it's we've got these weird disconnects everywhere, because I feel there's more in common with the Marvel Cinematic Universe to what DC's doing on TV. You know, they're kind of really having fun with it, especially with the Flash stuff recently.
Yeah.
Cool.
Agreed. I've got an email from Cannon Blackwell who says, I understand what you guys are saying about why the Marvel v DC debate is going towards DC's favour on TV, but in truth I feel like Marvel is putting their better foot forward. To me it seems like Marvel is intention when they make a show and put all their effort into making it the best thing happening on TV at that time, with S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter and Daredevil. And I think their future shows are looking to follow that, with more strong shows that follow smaller characters, whereas DC is flooding the marketplace with so many shows across so many networks that I don't think they are in it for the long haul.
Okay.
Thoughts on that, Dan?
It does feel like the rate at which these DC shows are coming out, it feels like one's announced and then it's almost, you see a trailer for it a few months later. That's what happened with what's it called, Heroes of Tomorrow? Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It happened really quickly. There's rumours about an Atom spin-off, and then it becomes that show really quickly. Whereas I think the Marvel stuff, especially the Netflix stuff, is just been a bit more considered and it's a more concerted effort to. Well, I always make the comparison. It's trying to translate kind of the Marvel Extreme comics, the Marvel Knights, the Marvel Max, onto the little screen, and almost having like this different imprint in your your TV and cinematic universe, which is something they do in comics. Going, these are kind of our mainstream. These are kind of our more for an older audience.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Yeah.
So who do you think's winning the TV battle?
I'm trying. I was trying to dance around answering.
I just came out and asked it.
At the moment, I think it's DC because they've got more stuff out and it's really popular in that sense, and it's really fun. Shield, and there's one 8-episode run of Agent Carter, and we've had one Daredevil. I think we need to see more from Marvel on TV to really.
I think that was kind of an answer. Okay.
We got an email from Cal. Hey Cal, I do want to say I disagree with the decision that DC is winning the TV race over Marvel, which is what I just said. Not a DC hater though. While I agree that Flash is great, and the first 2 seasons of Arrow were also great TV shows, like Gotham is terrible, and Constantine drags DC slate down a lot. I'm also not super excited about Supergirl, see what I did there, and Legends of Tomorrow. There are a few reasons why I think Marvel is winning this one. Firstly, Shield, while starting off relatively shaky, greatly improved post-Winter Soldier, and Season 2 really hit its stride and settled comfortably into a tone more appropriate for the show. Secondly, Agent Carter, the show was focused, acted superbly, and greatly benefited from a shorter season run. It also gave more insight to several aspects of the MCU in more subtle and less of an on-the-nose kind of way. Thirdly, Daredevil. Just Daredevil.
Interesting.
I saw you having a bit of Twitter banter with a viewer of the superhero show about Daredevil, and you were saying that you think it's got quite a lot of padding.
Yeah.
Because I just saw that, and I was away from work. I wanted to ask you a bit about that.
I talked about it on the show, I think. Just some of the subplots, the sidekick subplots, just weren't as interesting as what was happening with Daredevil and Kingpin.
Yeah.
So, and I thought they stretched some of them out a little bit.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Thought little plot lines went nowhere. Email from Ryan Hack, who says, I definitely agree that DC is beating Marvel on the TV front.
It's almost like people have different opinions and it can't be...
Flash and Constantine were 2 of my favourite new shows this year. iZombie, while not necessarily being a superhero show, has also been great for DC, and I can't believe you didn't even mention it. Well, I think you answered that question in that sentence because it's not a superhero show, so I didn't add it to the list. I think the TV race is much closer than the movie race. And I agree, because we're...
Agree. Also, like we always say about the movie race, there is no race
There's
yet.
no race.
There's no race yet, and that's not being Marvel fanboy. There's no race yet because there's only been one DC movie in the new continuity.
Why do we have to always pit?
Also, why does it have to be a thing?
Why do you have to pit? Why do we do this? Why do we title the shows like this?
Because we're tits. Andrew's written in, hi guys, came across this article talking about how Heath Ledger's Joker was actually the true hero of the movie The Dark Knight. There were some valid points in this article, and I believe it would be very entertaining to see your takes on this argument. Was Joker doing a more effective job of ridding Gotham of organised crime?
I read the article actually. It's interesting. It's fun. I mean, the conclusion is no, but the Joker did have kind of a twisted logic to what he was up to, and it was a lot of just bad people killing other bad people. You know, the big heist at the beginning. It was a mobster's money, and he burnt the money. Like he'd be a hero.
But I feel like that would. Like you said, while there's logic, there's also just underlying chaos. Like, he wouldn't be able to sustain it. He'd probably get bored of that and do something else.
Agreed. And he does do some pretty bad things later on in the movie.
Bad. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's fun. It is fun, the fact that they're kind of working towards the same thing, and he's actually quite a bit more effective than Batman has been in the previous sort of 5 years.
I always enjoy those kind of counter readings.
Yeah.
Reading against the grain, as it were.
Yeah, well, Kreese is the hero of Karate Kid. Fact. I've written that in a magazine.
Can we get Karate Kid into the show at some point?
Just did.
Okay, good.
Just did. Final email from Ryan Reinhardt, who says, talks about the fact that Matthew McConaughey has recently expressed interest in a comic book role.
Yep.
Ryan says, I think McConaughey could deliver a great Norman Osborn performance, which has been pretty lackluster in previous instalments. He also suggests Martian Manhunter, Cloak, Ra's al Ghul, and Namor are my top picks for Matthew to bring into the universe. Who do you think he could play? I thought we could open that up to the readers.
I tweeted out something the other day. I think he'd make a brilliant Adam Warlock.
Oh, okay.
I think Adam Warlock is one of those characters that I imagine he'll be in Guardians 2.
Yeah.
And there's rumours about the kind of the parenthood of Star-Lord, and who his dad might be, and they might like retcon it for the cinematic universe. I wondered if it would be. Imagine if Matthew McConaughey as kind of some space hero that doesn't age as Star-Lord's dad. That's pretty
That
cool.
would be
isn't
cool.
it?
Did you see the GQ interview with Chris Pratt, actually?
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about Guardians, that him and James Gunn have had a first conversation about it, and he was saying that Gunn won't tell him the plot because he knows he can't tell him the plot because he'll just tell people. But like the bits he was telling him about his character was making him quite emotional.
Well, that's the thing about... I watched Guardians not so long ago, and it's got a real kick at the end when they're all holding hands and you see his mum on her deathbed reach out to him. And I feel like if they'd bungled that, there would have been an awful moment. But they just nail it. So actually, it really gets me. I'm choking up just thinking about it. But yeah, that's a really powerful scene.
Yeah, can't wait.
Oh, so yeah, thank you for all the feedback. We get lots of feedback now and we read it all. But please send us more at superheroshow@ign.com. And we're now going to talk about, again, going on from one death to another. It's going to be quite a sad section to the show, this.
Yeah, I was welling up when I was doing my prep for this, watching some of these. Why have we done this?
I don't know, I spent the last... So what we're going to talk about is the best deaths in superhero movies. So not necessarily the death of heroes, but deaths that crop up in these movies. And I was researching at my desk like you. We both sat there with headphones on. I was just welling up all morning.
Yep.
Oh, it's put me in a right bad mood.
Who do we have to blame for this?
So we're going to blame Jake. Thanks, Jake. Hey guys, my idea for a topic: what is the best on-screen death in a superhero movie? The way I'm looking at it is the death that has the biggest impact on you as the viewer. I have tried to think of some for a while now, and I think it's the death of Emma Stone in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. The whole movie was their relationship, and it was maybe the most realistic relationship in a superhero movie. Those two had such great chemistry. That's why it hurt so much when she died. I would love to hear your thoughts on this one. We're going to do just that.
We might have more on Gwen Stacy in a bit, but I'm going to kick it off with the original superhero movie death, I think, or one of the originals. Should we just play the clip first?
Yeah.
Play the clip, please, Rich.
Come on, Pop, run! Come on, move! Yeah, go! Come on, run! Hey, Barry! Come on, Barry! Stay away.
Oh, no.
Jonathan!
I just find it's very real, very honest. It's truly horrific. I guess I watched it as a very young kid as well, and it's one of those things that kind of teaches you a bit about death when you're a kid, like, because he's like the ultimate dad, Pa Kent, and even just before that clip started, he's doing what he does. He's kind of giving Clark life advice and being wise.
Homespun wisdom.
Yeah, telling it, because Clark's frustrated that he can't show off his powers. And he's just saying, you can't, but you are here for a reason. That's what I know. And it's really well acted. It's Glenn Ford who plays Pa Kent, who is a great old Hollywood star, and he was in a lot of westerns. And he brings some of that kind of gravitas, I think, to it, and just
The way it's shot as well, it's really simple.
yeah.
And those kind of really wide shots as well, just making everything seem so small and insignificant.
Yeah, you could make that a really big, over the top moment, but the way it's done there, and then they cut straight to the funeral, it kind of gets me because it feels real.
Yeah, it definitely, and also, talking to him about his powers and all the great things he will do and achieve for the world, and he can do nothing. He's absolutely powerless.
Yeah.
You can do nothing to save him. Oh, I'm not joking. I was just thinking about it. But it's
He'll never see it. Pa Kent now, he kind of knows at that moment when he says, "Oh no," he'll never see,
what he'll achieve, what he'll do. It's just, he can do nothing. It's God. I can't.
Oh no! Can we get Crew some water? Should we move on to the next one?
No, actually, before we go to the next one, you talk about there's a way that you could make that really overdone. Well, they did. Zack Snyder had a go.
Yeah, because we were going to talk about the worst movie death, and we decided not to make that a thing. But you're particularly not a fan of Pa Kent's death in
It's terrible.
Man of Steel.
It's terrible. He'd save him. Because he can't save him.
Yeah,
he can't prevent.
It's
the
a very
heart
real.
attack
Yeah, it's a
that
very
kills
real
Jonathan.
human
and
death.
It's so out of nowhere. I'm sorry, he's not Superman yet, but he could save him. That's the only reason. That's the only thing I can say. He would save him. There's a tornado coming. he's really strong and fast and can kind of fly later on. It's Superman.
Yeah.
I think he could save him.
But he can't show people his powers yet.
Screw people, it's his dad. Like, save your dad. Why is Superman not saving his dad and killing people?
Viewers, have you noticed we might have touched the nerve here?
Oh. Anyway, moving on.
Let's do a positive one.
Okay, play mine, Rich.
That's detonation. It's out over the bay. It's clear of the city.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Wow. So, I think there's been a kind of reappraisal of Dark Knight Rises over the last year or two since it came out, and we all loved it when we saw it, and I still really like it. I think it's it's almost like superhero film as epic, like old traditional film epic. So much in it, and that's kind of we're going to talk about this, but lots of deaths in superhero films that aren't actually deaths and
Fake.
It's a fake death. Well, some people still read it as Alfred imagined it. That's not the case. He's actually alive.
Yeah.
He's definitely alive. But there's something about that that's, I think, really distills what Batman is. That he would make that absolute supreme sacrifice. And there's a bit more to that when he kind of gets into the Batwing. And there's this great look that Christian Bale has where it's just resignation. He's like, I'm just going to do this. He doesn't even hesitate that he's going to fly that bomb away and potentially sacrifice himself. He doesn't even hesitate. He just gets in and flies off. And everything. He has a great hero moment where there's an explosion and Robin warns the kids. He says, it's happening. The city's blowing up. Get down. And they go, no, it's not. It's Batman. He emerges through the fire. So he has this great hero moment before he goes out. And then, again, like, it just quietens down. Like, the music dies down. There's no big Hans Zimmer score. There's this haunting voice. And it's just really still and quiet, and I think it's really well done.
Yeah. Do you think it's at all similar to Tony Stark's death in the Avengers?
Yeah.
It's
It's death as climax, I think.
Yeah.
And it's kind of you wanting to have the drama that's associated with a death right at the end of your final act.
Yeah.
Because what's more dramatic than
The
your
ultimate
hero
sacrifice,
dying?
yeah.
It's and the Superman Returns when he falls down to Earth after lifting the Krypton planet.
Yeah.
It's having death as conclusion or climax, but then kind of going, hey, we're still alive.
It's resurrection.
It's Jesus.
It is Jesus.
Well, it's Superman all over. But yeah, I think that's really that's quite poignant. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad he's hanging out in Italy at the end there. So
Yeah. Hot chick, nice coffee.
yeah.
On to my next one, which is a clip I've actually talked about before on Most Moving Moments, I think,
Yep.
from Super, but we'll do it again because I think it's so good. So if you could roll the tape, please, Rich.
Show's over.
Boom. Yeah, I just love the way, obviously it's from Kick-Ass, The Death of Big Daddy. I love the way it's shot. I love the film. I think it really builds to that emotional beat because you really, even though they've got quite a sick and twisted relationship, the two of them, they really care about each other and love each other.
Dependent on each other.
But yeah, Matthew Vaughn can shoot the shit out of an action scene, and that's so it's so interesting the way he's done that.
Really
The use of light, the use of strobe, the use of music. I think that the score's amazing. It's just a really well put together scene, and then it's also pretty horrific as well. It's the guy's burning to death, and Nick Cage's acting is pretty out there.
It's out there, but it lands. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's not distracting. When he's like screams "child," it's just we were like talking about it before we came in and did the show, and like we were kind of just playing like sane child in the office. But there's something about when he says that, it's so simple and from like the bowels of himself. Like what he's crying out to his child.
Yeah,
it's really effective. I'm gonna go again.
No, they're nailing it though. You know, the email was what got to you emotionally, and these ones did. So yeah, as always, I'm sticking a kick-ass in there.
Yeah. So my next one it's a romantic one, and I guess again it's another fate death, but it's death as kind of the conclusion to the movie. Play it, Rich.
You're gonna need a rain check on that dance.
All right. A week next Saturday at the Stork Club.
You got it.
8 o'clock on the dot. Don't you dare be late. Understood?
You know, I still don't know how to dance.
I'll show you how. Just be there.
We'll have the band play something slow.
I'd hate to step on your...
Steve? Steve?
You're gonna cry again.
I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna get a
So
hat-trick
let
of
me go
tears.
through this. Okay. That's really good. So that's simple analysis, but I think it's really well shot, Joe Johnson. So he's heading, again, making the sacrifice similar to the Batman one that we just showed. And he's heading there, but it's really well shot because Tommy Lee Jones' character, they just exit. So it's just them two having this conversation. And, you know, they never really have a thing in the movie. There's tension. There might be something that would happen down the line, but it's 1940s, there's a war going on. They don't have many scenes together where that romance can blossom. It's just hinted at. And what that scene does, it just severs them in time completely. It's closing off a life that we'll never have together. And I think that's really beautiful and poignant. And also the way it's done, because she's speaking to him and he's talking about like, oh, we never had that dance, and they will never have that dance. And that's really melancholic. And the way it's doing, and then you stay with her. Joe Johnson chooses to stay with her. She's speaking to him, and you don't see him crash. You just hear the white noise on the radio, and that's the last you see of Captain America. And you're with her in that morning. You're not with him going down in glory or in sacrifice. You're with her, and you're left alone, and it's really sad. And obviously, I think the reason why I thought of that even more so was, it's bookend. You know, it has this great follow up in Winter Soldier, where he goes and sees Peggy, and they kind of talk about the life they never had. And it's so sad because she has Alzheimer's. And midway through the conversation, she forgets that she's old, and she sees Steve again. And he says something like, I couldn't keep my best girl waiting for that dance. All right, moving on to the next one.
Yeah, you're getting me going. Yeah, because I've got nothing to add to that, apart from the fact, have you ever seen A Matter of Life and Death?
No, I haven't.
Powell and Pressburger
Yeah,
film?
I know of it.
It really harks back to that, with David Niven kind of in the Captain America role, in the plane, and the girl talking to him.
David Niven as Captain America.
That would have been good. Too British. Okay, well, as you've picked Superhero Sacrifice, followed by Resurrection, I'm going to do one. Roll VT, Rich.
No, Groot! You can't. You'll die. Why are you doing this? Why?
We are Groot.
There's been a lot of crying in this week's superhero show, hasn't there?
Can't take it. But also, is it not a testament to Marvel that we're crying about a tree and a raccoon dying together?
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's the brilliance of Guardians of the Galaxy, isn't it? It's what we said, that if they could make us care about a tree, we're into it. And they did, to the point that, like, you're welling up in the cinema when that happens. And it's so brilliantly done, the way, they build and build and build with the setup of him saying, I'm Groot, all the way through the film, and then the line changing for that scene. It's just brilliantly done, and as we were saying when we were just watching it, it's so beautifully shot as well. They kind of chicken out because he's not dead, but in that moment you really think that he is, and it's it lands. You know, the moment really lands.
Those close-ups as well, looking directly into Rocket's eyes and then directly into Groot's. They're welling up. I'm going to well up. Okay, so last one.
Finale.
Yeah, before we end this. So we're going to go back to the email that started it all. My final pick is Gwen Stacy, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Great moment in a not so great film.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons I picked it, because I reviewed the movie when it came out. I think, you know, it's a pretty average movie, and from the moment they said they were going to have Gwen Stacy in these new Amazing Spider-Man movies, the Mark Webb movies, you know, if you cast Gwen Stacy as a character, you know, there's a story that at some point in the future you have to tackle, which is the death of Gwen Stacy, one of the most famous deaths in all of comic book history, and one of the few characters, unlike a lot of comic book deaths, one of the few characters who, until recently, usually stayed dead. So there's a tremendous amount of weight on doing that scene. And in the second movie, you can feel it coming. And so I think it's testament to how well it's done that even though the action and all the other stuff in the movie is really messy, I think they really nail that. I think it's partly down to their chemistry between the two of them. Obviously, they're dating in real life. And I feel like that sometimes maybe factors into my reading of the final scene, because, like, he really loves this person and he's acting that scene, and he does such good cry face, much better than Tobey Maguire's cry face. But I think just the way it's staged is very elegant, because there's a very specific way it's done in the comics, which they didn't try to redo because they didn't really have the characters and the personnel. So I'm glad they didn't do that. And he set it in this clock tower. It's kind of out of nowhere in the final scene because they're in the power station and he goes to this clock tower. But it's quite beautiful that this clock mechanism is breaking. It reminds me a little bit of the W.H. Auden poem, When the Clocks Stop. It's because time is ending for him at this moment. Like, he can't put this clock back together and time can't progress because this is going to change his entire life. And she's too far away from him. All these things, all these obstacles are in the way. And when the webbing goes towards her, it kind of reaches out like this little tiny hand trying to reach her. And he does get her, but it's just too late. Again, tying into all the clock imagery in the scene. And I think more than anything, when I saw it in the cinema, even though it's quite a delicate moment, it's quite beautiful and slow, the impact's not. I shouldn't even done that. It's brutal. Like, people, when I was watching it, there was like, this is a sad, beautiful moment, and then there's a violence in it. And people in the cinema were like, sharp intake of breath. And I think it's testament to that scene that it could still elicit that from that audience when I don't think they were super into the movie.
Yeah.
And then when he just jumps down, he falls down and takes off his mask, and it doesn't really say much. There's not like dialogue. He's just saying, "No, Gwen, you know, don't leave me," and he delivers it.
It's making me want to see the film again.
Yeah, maybe just watch that bit.
Okay. Okay. Can we stop this now? Because
I
think we both need to go and lie down for a while.
I don't know how to end this. So those are the 6 that I think probably affected us the most, the ones that really stay with us. But obviously, they're by no means maybe the best or the ones that affected you.
The ones we left out. We left out Jean Grey.
So many good ones.
You were thinking about
Jor-El,
yeah,
as an actor.
Doc Ock. There's a
loads
bunch.
of them.
Yeah. So let us know which ones you like the best.
Yeah, at superhero show at IGN.com. And until next week, for everything on superheroes, stay right here on IGN.